What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. We got a crazy amount of news surrounding the Toronto Raptors trade rumors yet once again. I had just dropped a video about 10 hours ago, and as you see there, the sun's shining a little bit through the blinds. I thought I would go for a walk, but I also really wanted to provide you guys with this update as well. I'm going to be discussing Gary Trent Jr., apparently what the Raptors are looking for him, for Fred Vanvleet, and there's also a huge update regarding Gary Trent Jr. and Fred Vanvleet and who the most likely player is to get traded. And this was being reported by NBA Central, which I will be breaking down for you guys. So if you're ready to watch this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you wish to hit the subscribe button as well, that'd be very much appreciated. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel, and the shout out for today's video goes out to Elmac Ulate. So Elmac, thank you so much for supporting this channel through your likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. Now let's break these rumors down for you guys. It's being reported on it's being reported by Rhapsody on Instagram by Doug Smith. And the first rumor was Raptors would need multiple picks to part away with Gary Trent Jr. And it was also being reported by Doug Smith that the Raptors want two promising players for Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby. Now, we heard what they want for OG Anunoby yesterday. We're really surprised to hear what they want for Fred VanVleet as well, which just tells you how high they value Fred VanVleet. We also got another crazy update from NBA Central about an hour ago. Let's discuss that one as well. Now, this one was being reported by NBA Central that the Raptors insider believes they will likely trade one of Fred VanVleet or Gary Trent Jr. Now, this should come as no surprise for anyone that has followed the Toronto Raptors even remotely, because they don't exactly complement each other's game. But let's break this article down for you guys before we discuss who I think the Raptors should move, Fred VanVleet or Gary Trent Jr. Now, this article went on to state the Toronto Raptors are one of the teams most heavily monitored in trade rumors these days, as they have plenty of talented players on their roster but are underperforming as a whole. Raptors insider Erik Koreen believes that one of Fred VanVleet or Gary Trent Jr. will be moved ahead of the league's February 9th trade deadline. One of these two, VanVleet or Trent, is probably moving. After a few years of developmental struggles, the Raptors need more contributors on lighter contracts. Trading Trent Jr. or VanVleet is the easiest way to acquire those pieces. I've already written about how complex the VanVleet situation is. For that reason, I have Trent as the most likely player to move, although it could be closer than some might think, Koreen wrote. Now, obviously, this is a lot to break down, but I'm going to be talking about Gary Trent Jr. first, because before we talk about trading players, you have to realize what each player brings in terms of value, what they bring to that team. So let's start with Gary Trent Jr. Now, Gary Trent Jr., I do want to quickly touch upon his statistics, because to fully understand what he would bring to the Toronto Raptors, you have to understand the stats as well. So taking a look at his stats here, you'll notice his point production has been pretty good this season. It's about the same as last season, though. 18.3 last season, 18.5 this season. He's shooting the ball a little bit better from the field, 43.8%, excuse me. He's also shooting the three-point ball. He's brought his percentage up a little bit. He had started the season very cold, and he wasn't shooting the three ball particularly well, but he's brought his percentage up a little bit. Now, I do want to talk about advanced statistics as well, because often when we talk about statistics with players, all fans see is players' points, rebounds, assists, steals, stuff like that. But let's talk about his advanced statistics here. Now, taking a look at the advanced statistics, that kind of gives you the whole picture. Look at his usage rate for the last 3 seasons. So it's great that he's averaging 18 points per season, but his usage rate has consistently been around the same for the last 3 seasons, yet his point production has only gone up by 2 points. Now, is that to say Gary Trent Jr. is a bad player? No. What this does indicate, however, is Gary Trent Jr. has hit his ceiling very early in his NBA career, but the potential isn't there. Although many fans believe because of his young age, he's capable of becoming that much better player, I truly see Gary Trent Jr. as a 6-man role. And I think the Raptors should capitalize on this, because one of the selling ideas you could propose to a lot of teams out there is that he's 24 years old. He's a young player. He could get a lot better. But the truth is with Gary Trent Jr. is that he hasn't really improved in any areas of his game. When you take a look at his statistics, it's usually he'll give you a couple threes a game. He scores a lot of points. There's not a lot in terms of what he gives you in terms of passing the ball, grabbing the rebounds. And even, in fact, when you take a look at Gary Trent Jr., when you watch him during the games, closely watch how he rebounds the ball. He doesn't rebound the ball at all. In fact, he doesn't even box out. One thing he is very guilty of when you watch him on the defensive rebound in particular is he kind of just stands around and he watches the ball when the shot goes up. He forgets almost to box out, And I'm not saying he's giving up a lot of defensive rebounds, but he's not really particularly rebounding the ball well for someone who's listed at 6'5". Now let's talk about Fred VanVleet as well, because there's a lot I have to say about Fred as well. Now, a lot of fans believe that Fred VanVleet isn't a good passer, but I don't think it's one of those cases of him not being a capable passer. It's, I think, one of those cases where the NBA has been trending in one direction for quite some time. And to fully understand this, I'll display the stats here for you guys. And when you see the assist leaders amongst point guards in the entire league, you'll notice the emphasis is sure, if you're able to get assists like Tyrese or Trae Young and even Luka Doncic, that is very impressive. But one thing you need to realize, in the last 5-10 years of the NBA has shifted towards guys that are maybe point guards. Again, point guards that are shoot first rather than pass first. Think of guys like Ricky Rubio. Why is it that he's not getting a starting role? Because he's obviously not a good player. Yes, I'm very well aware of that. But it's also because scoring is valued a lot more than assists, rebounds, and other things as well. In fact, one other thing I really want to put an emphasis on is when you think of guys that are pass-first guys, again, I'm not saying every player here listed is a pass-first guy, but look at guys like Tyrese Halliburton, Trae Young, Luka Doncic, Darius Garland, Ja Morant, Russell Westbrook. How many of these guys can you say are really good defenders? Unfortunately, I've just noticed a trend among NBA players for quite some time, especially among point guards that are pass-first. They're usually not great defenders. Aside from Tyrese Halliburton, I know Luka is playing pretty good defense this year as well. But think of guys like Trae Young. Darius Garland are terrible defenders. So look, they may be able to pass the ball. And of course, they're putting the ball in the net as well. They're great scorers, as you can see there. But for some reason, again, you could go through the NBA besides maybe Chris Paul. A lot of guys, for the majority of part, that are very well capable passers. For whatever reason, they're not good defenders. Even going down the list, Ja Morant, he's averaging 7.9 assists. But he's not someone who's a great defender. Aside from maybe Ben Simmons, Jrue Holiday, Marcus Smart on this list here, not a lot of these guys are great defenders. Damian Lillard as well, he's not a good defender. So I think the way the league has trended is more emphasis on ball scoring point guards rather than pass first point guards. And that's what you have to realize. That's what Fred VanVleet, is he a ball hog? Yes, he is. He actually is a ball hog. He likes to focus on his scoring more because that's what gets you paid. And I know people are going to tie on this to bet on himself. He wants a bigger contract. Look, all NBA players want bigger contracts. Let's not act like they're working for a charity here. He obviously wants a big contract, but that's just the way the league has been trending. You're more valued as an NBA point guard if you're able to score 20 points a game rather than be able to get 7 assists and score 12 points a game. That's just the way the league has been trending. So that's what I will see about Fred VanVleet in terms of what he brings to the Raptors is he does provide some scoring. And I know a lot of people feel like he can't pass. He is a capable passer. And you're seeing it a little bit more in recent games, but it's just one of those things, guys. It's just the way the league has been trending. Again, that's not to excuse Fred's lack of a playmaking ability. I don't think he's a great playmaker. I think he's capable of being a good playmaker, not a great one. But it's just the fact that he's not going to ever be a guy that's going to be averaging 10 assists a game because of the way the league trends. So one thing I do want to talk about before giving my final verdict of who I think the Raptors should move in terms of should it be Gary Trent Jr. or Fred VanVleet? I will say one thing. Gary Trent Jr., like I stated, guys, I think his long-term role in the NBA is a sixth man. He doesn't really provide a lot in terms of outside of scoring. He's a very inconsistent scorer, and he's very hot and cold. And that, I think, as he grows older and more mature, that is one thing he'll get better at. But I just don't see other areas of his game improving that much. Now, Fred VanVleet, I know people are stating he's on the older side, so trade him. He's going to be demanding a lot of money, but he does bring quite a few assets to the Raptors. He's someone who's getting other players involved. He's a point guard. Yes, I know people want him to average 9 and 10 assists, but he can put the ball in the net. He's a great three-point shooter. He plays some defense. He gets some steals as well. He passes the ball as well. And just some of the things that he does better than Gary Trent Jr., I think, is just passing the ball. Despite being 5 inches shorter, he's a much better rebounder than Gary Trent Jr. He also has much better high IQ than Gary Trent Jr. So again, that's all I'll say regarding that. I think if the Raptors do trade one of them, it should be Gary Trent Jr. because you could sell that idea. He has more potential than Fred VanVleet. You could sell that idea to a lot of teams, and I think he would just be someone that could net you a bigger return rather than trading Fred VanVleet. So that's what I'll say about that. But let's talk about our last rumor here regarding OG Anunoby. Now, this was being reported by Rap City on Instagram as well. And of course, the source is Doug Smith again. And that is OG Anunoby is eligible to sign a 4-year, $100 million contract with the Raptors this offseason. And if I'm the Toronto Raptors, guys, I do this in a hurry. Like, I don't even let it get there. That's like the moment the offseason starts, I'm inking OG Anunoby to the $100 million contract, because he is so valuable to the Raptors. Even let's pretend, guys, let's pretend if he had hit his ceiling, which is not the case, you ink him to that contract, because that, and give it another season or two. $25 million isn't going to be a lot. $25 million next season, in fact, I truly feel like it's going to be the new $15-17 million contract. So it's not a lot for OG Anunoby for what he provides to the Raptors, which is great defense. He's a good three-point shooter. He's one of those players that's just really smart. It goes a little bit underappreciated, unfortunately, at times, because he doesn't always show up in the stat sheet. It doesn't show up in the box score, but he's someone you should absolutely sign in. He's 25 years old. He's everything the Raptors need in terms of defense. He's also a good three-point shooter, which the Raptors need. So if I'm the Raptors, I sign him in a hurry, guys. I know that's a lot of money. $100 million committing to anyone is quite a bit of money. But if you do that to someone, it should be OG Anunoby. And one thing I will state before I go to the trivia question is, please do not give him a player option. I'm so sick and tired of the Toronto Raptors giving player options to even freaking G Leaguers, man. We signed Stanley Johnson, Svi Mykhailiuk to 2-year contracts, and the second year, we did it with Otto Porter Jr. too. We signed him to a 2 years contract, and the second year was player option. So please, Masai Bobby, if you're watching this, please do not sign OG to a 3+1 deal. Sign him to an outright 4-year contract. And we've seen this trend so much with, now we're seeing it with Gary Trent and Fred as well. But just outright sign him to 4 years, man. Just sign him to 4 years. I'm so tired of playing that game where you're thinking, is he going to opt in? Is he going to opt out? Just do the 4 years. We'll benefit a lot more if we do the 4 years. But I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on a lot of these rumors. I know a lot of people may disagree with me in terms of whether you should trade Fred or Gary, but I'm very interested to hear what you guys think. So with that being said, guys, let's get on to the trivia question. And the trivia question for today is, which player on the Raptors 905 averages the most assists? Is it A, Delano Banton? Is it B, Jeff Doughton? Is it C, Saban Lee? Or is it D, David Johnson? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video, guys. If you're still watching, thank you so much for your support. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. And I wish you guys have yourselves a great day.